Coming up on Network Africa, Al-Shabaab militants attack Somalia's military base, killing 8 soldiers at the Somalia-Kenyan border. Kenya's Electoral Commission debunks rumors of meeting with the opposition party. And Zimbabwe's First Lady, Grace Mugabe, says she was the victim in South Africa's alleged assault case. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker. We begin today in Somalia, where heavily armed Al-Shabaab fighters attacked the army base in Balad Howell town on the Somali-Kenyan border this morning, killing at least 8 soldiers, injuring many more. Confirming the number of casualties, Major Mohammed Abdullahi stated that the soldiers also killed 7 militants while chasing Al-Shabaab out of the town. The militants launched the attack using explosives, then followed with gunshots. Residents say the injured were taken to Mandera Hospital in Kenya for treatment. They added that the attackers held the area and terrorized them for several hours before fleeing. The town, which is about 5 kilometers from the Kenyan town of Mandera, is now back in control of Somali government soldiers. Kenyan authorities say they have put the Kenyan army on alert. Well, today marks 16 years since the first terrorist attack on U.S. soil, which killed more than 3,000 people. The campaign against Al-Qaeda, which was behind the attack, eventually led to the proliferation of more terror groups in the world. For example, the Tuareg rebels in Mali later saw an opportunity to seize northern Mali, and Al-Shabaab, an offshoot of the Al-Qaeda, gained strength in Somalia and its neighbors. Here in Nigeria, Boko Haram sprung in northern Nigeria, claiming cities, displacing thousands, killing scores of people. On May the 2nd, 2011, then U.S. President Barack Obama announced Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden had been killed. Much as it brought joy to Americans and perhaps the rest of the world, analysts warned that Al-Qaeda's ideology did not rest with one man and that an ideology cannot be destroyed. Today we ask the question, has terrorism become worse following the 9/11 attacks? Well, security expert and former Army officer Colonel Hassan Stan-Labo joins us now on Network Africa. Glad you could join us on the program.
Thanks so much.
So just that last question. Do you think that the question, has terrorism become worse following the attacks 9/11?
Yes, post 9/11 situation as far as terrorism is concerned, I would say the situation has worsened because of what we see happening in the Middle East. The Syrian civil war, which emerged, and of course the Arab Spring, developments have all today been able to create a situation where most of these countries, most of these groups, the terrorist groups, seem to be firmly in control of situations. Whatever the case, the synergy we see at the international level is something which must be admired so that these groups can be suppressed. Part of the synergy is what has just happened to us, the approval of the huge sum of money by President Trump for Nigeria to be able to acquire the 12 Embraer Alpha 29 Super Tucano aircrafts, which is a super machine, both an attacker and a surveillance equipment. It will go a long way in enhancing combat capacity in the field and seeing that we're able to, as much as possible, deal a good blow to Boko Haram. And I was not surprised the US did it because it also serves their interest. I hope we're all aware by now that terrorism is a global thing. It's not just restricted to any part of the country.
Indeed, I was going to ask, what would you call the reasons for the incessant terrorism attack despite, the death of Osama bin Laden?
Yes, of course. Just like you read in the news, ideology has nothing to do with the individual, let's say the leadership or whatever. If the ideology is well entrenched, even when the leadership is not there, the mission continues. And that's why the focus remained on the West. Because initially, that was all what the ideology was all about, ensuring that they are able to bring down the West, partly, you know, in a bid to maybe revenge certain inner hateness, which, you know, has always existed within certain groups, you know. And with the Arab Spring that eventually emerged, the entire damn thing got escalated. And you could see that to some point, terrorism was beginning to even focus on Africa. I hope you know that as at 2014, Boko Haram had been declared the most powerful or most dangerous, dreadful terrorist group, you know, in contemporary times.
So
and the Western world were even wondering how the Nigerian armed forces was able to deal with them, the extent to which we've gone.